Hey guys, welcome back to the Tie Action Sports channel. Today we're going to be talking about the fallout from the playoffs yesterday, and then talking a little about the NCAA playoffs, obviously the championship happening tonight between Bama and Ohio State. But let's go into what happened with all the NFL games this past weekend. So first we're going to start off with the Browns versus Steelers. The big one, I think the big surprise for everyone, the Browns won 48-37 and advanced to the Chiefs. I think that really surprised everyone. No one could have predicted that the Browns were going to put up 48 points on that Steelers defense, obviously, with an assist from Big Ben in the Steelers offense that had 5 total turnovers for the Browns, making this one kind of an easy runaway win for them. Then we move on to Colts versus Bills, which I think was closer than everyone expected it to be. Bills were hot coming in. The Colts did a good job defensively dealing with them, and it was a lot closer than people thought it was going to be, but Bills still win 27-24, advancing to the Ravens. Then we have Rams versus Seahawks. The Rams win in another surprising game, 30-20, and advance to Green Bay. Jared Goff played with that broken thumb. He had surgery on it this past week and was able to come out and outduel Russell Wilson, which I think is absolutely amazing, and it really shows the heart and talent that guy truly has. The Bucs versus Washington. I think the least surprising of them all this week is Bucs win 31-23, and they advance to the States. Taylor Heineke, though, played a great game for the Washington football team, was able to get them at least in some sort of, it looks good and looks closer than it actually was the entire game at QB. I don't think Alex Smith could have done that. He just isn't mobile enough. Then you have Ravens versus Titans, and Ravens win 20-13. They advance to the Bills. Lamar getting his big win, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then Bears versus Saints. Saints win 21-9. The Bears just couldn't get it past that Saints offense, and obviously a drop touchdown by Wims that didn't help at all. Definitely would have kept the game closer, because then the final score would have been about 17-21 than what it actually ended up being. So that was the playoff games this weekend, and the first ever Super Wild Card where 6 games were played since they knocked out the 2 seed from getting a first round bye. There's some big talking points taking away from this game is Money Mitch Trubisky. Obviously, this might have been his last game, and most likely is his last game in a Bears uniform. There's multiple reports saying that he's going to be out of Chi-Town as soon as the extension time is up, so he'll go somewhere else. He got the first ever MVP award. Can't forget that, the Nickelodeon Valuable Player for that game. And then his possible landing spots that I think that he could end up being at is the Patriots or the Washington football team. Both teams are going to need a quarterback. I don't think Cam's the guy for New England, and I think Mitch Trubisky could have really another chance to prove himself with the Patriots, and the Patriots kind of need a guy that's going to be able to move around the pocket a little bit, and I think Mitch is that guy. I think he deserves another shot. He played really well at the back end of the season, and it really never feels like Matt Nagy ever loved having Mitch there, and I just think that he was not giving the best circumstances with the Bears. And now moving on to Lamar Jackson, big story there is he won his first playoff game, hopefully breaking the narrative for him that he can't win a playoff game. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but he's still a good quarterback, and he didn't deserve that narrative that he got. So through the air, though, still wasn't that pretty. Obviously, through that duck of an interception, and he was Lamar when it came to the air game. Running game, obviously, he dominated. That's what Lamar does best, is getting out of the pocket and making plays with his legs, and that's Lamar Jackson's game. So he once again won his first big game, first playoff game, and that moves him on to the Bills. Also, another big story is possibly Big Ben's last game against the Browns. Threw 4 interceptions, but after the game, about an hour or two, he stayed out on the field with his longtime center Marquise Pouncey and got very emotional. So you can't help but think that this might be his last game in the NFL, which, I mean, would be a sad sight to see him go for Steelers fans, as he had a long career there with 2 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowl appearances, and I think he'll definitely be a Hall of Famer there, and I think the Steelers are always going to show love for him. Now we're done with our NFL news. Let's move on to the NCAA playoffs, or the national championship, more likely to saying. That was Bama versus the Buckeyes. Obviously, the Buckeyes were the surprise people here. Everyone thought it was going to be Clemson versus Bama again, but it's just Buckeyes outplayed them, and it's not even the Buckeyes outplayed them. Justin Fields outplayed them. Trevor Lawrence still played a pretty good game. The Clemson defense just fell flat on their face, and Justin Fields just absolutely torched them all game. Still, with that, my prediction is Bama wins in a shootout. I think both of these offenses are crazy, and I think they both have. If the Buckeyes defense shows up like it did last week, it's going to be a shootout. If the Buckeyes defense doesn't show up, Bama could throw up 60 points on you with how explosive their offense is this year, especially if they get back Jalen Waddle, which would be terrifying for the Buckeyes secondary. And then another question that you have to look at here with the Buckeyes, which makes them an uncertain pick, and that is Fields going to be healthy? Because if Fields isn't healthy after that hit from Skalski, then he won't be able to win a game against Bama. He can't win a shootout if he's not healthy, because the Bama does have a good front four that is going to attack Fields and give him constant pressure. And I think if he isn't healthy and he can't take those hits, there's no way that Ohio State can pull out this win. And I think Fields will have to have a repeat performance of what he did with the 6 touchdowns against Clemson if they're going to want to beat Bama, because you're going to have to score quick, you're going to have to score often, you're going to have to be explosive, because just messing up one drive on either side could be calling the end of the game for them. You have to score. And if Fields isn't healthy, it's not going to work for them. And now we move on to the Heisman winner, Devonta Smith. I think he's going to be a complete mismatch with Shaun Wade, who did absolutely terrible work against Clemson, missing a bunch of coverages, being very soft in that game. And if you take Devonta Smith soft, Devonta Smith will throw up 300 yards and 4 touchdowns on you. He's just that kind of receiver. Obviously won the Heisman. And not to mention, if you have Jalen Waddle on the field, you may not be able to bracket Devonta Smith as much, which is going to lead to him getting even more yards. And with 2 explosive playmakers, it's going to be a tough matchup for the Buckeyes secondary that struggled all season long. But I think in the end, I think Bama's going to win. I think Nick Saban's got this team in a groove. And Bama likes this matchup. Bama loves having these teams that are coming off big wins and just trying to shut them down and take away their best players, which I think they can take away Chris Olave. If you have Surtain on Olave, that's going to be an interesting matchup. Surtain, obviously one of the top corners that's going to be, if not the top corner coming out of this draft on the outside. He's quick. He's the height, weight, speed corner that's going to keep up with the height, weight, speed wide receiver and Chris Olave. And that's going to be a big matchup that you're going to have to watch in this game to see if Ohio State can have a chance to beat Bama. Also, I'm a Michigan fan. I can never pick the Buckeyes to go over anyone. So that is our playoffs from this weekend and what is going to be happening tonight. My predictions for tonight. I guess we're really going to see what's going to happen, and I'll probably make a video on it tomorrow talking about the playoffs and the implication afterwards. Talk about draft stock. Justin Fields, if he plays a good game, it could go up. If he plays a bad game, it could go down. We're gonna have to see what happens there against Bama, and we're gonna really see what the Buckeyes and Bama are made of tonight. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.